Hi everyone, it's Raina. So this video is if you have your natal Mars in the 12th house. And Mars is the god of war, so it can connect with conflict, violence, our anger, which isn't bad. Now, the first two might be a little bit more problematic, but anger is a part of life. It is a normal emotion in certain circumstances. And so, and even conflict, I should say, as well. And it's also your drive. It could be your energy level. It can be your sense of purpose or focus, what you're putting your energy into. And the 12th house is the house of the spiritual side of life. This can be other dimensions of consciousness that are not, physical, material dimensions. This can be, this could be spiritual experiences. This can be karma and past lives. This can be the dream state. This can be, so anything that is not from this practical world, but is like of a spiritual or a fantasy is 12th house. And in terms of institutions, it rules hospitals and prisons. But in other places, it rules as like a monastery, a nunnery, places, an ashram, where people go, especially when they're alone, so retreat centers and things like that. So looking at it from the perspective of expressing anger, this can be problematic for people who have this position, especially if you grew up in families where it was dangerous or otherwise unacceptable to express anger. So very authoritarian parents and other caregivers who have to have the last word or don't like children to talk back to them, or they just want to be able to control everything. Violent adults who you were subjected to, who used physical punishment to intimidate you, shut you up, get you into compliance, even if they were being unfair to you and you were just reacting to that lack of fairness. And a lot of times when we get angry, it's because we don't feel that something is right. Is that wrong? Of course not. So the point is that somebody with this position has to acknowledge that they have a right to anger and that they have to find a way to express it, because if you don't, you will express it in one way or the other, and it can be somebody who is passive aggressive. And I want to give a shout out to the site that I compiled this list, which is advancedastrology.com. I actually didn't see anything about passive aggression there. I've seen it before. I kind of skimmed through these lists, so maybe I missed it, but I've read that probably on another site. And the point is that especially if you have your Mars in Libra, and maybe even other planets like the Sun, because these are, Mars is a personal planet, so a person who has Libra rising, Libra rising, but I'm talking about the Sun. If you have your Sun in Libra, you can easily have Mars in Libra as well, and inner planets in Libra, and it makes you uncomfortable to engage in any controversial topics or broach subjects with people that if you're upset with them about something, you just may feel very uncomfortable asserting yourself. And that's kind of the bigger picture in this as well. But I do want to mention the anger component because that definitely fits into this. And a lot of times this will have a connection to childhood. So examples too, if you have your Pluto in the first house, or Pluto in the first, fourth, eighth houses, even 12th houses, it may be very hard to kind of assert yourself and express your anger in a constructive way. And this is another thing that I didn't see about Mars in the 12th. The 12th can be the house of addiction. And so sometimes people actually take out their anger on themselves. So depression has been called suppressed anger. And I don't think that's true across the board, obviously, but I do think in some cases when people feel like their voice isn't heard or that nobody would understand how they feel, they turn their anger on themselves. And so it's super important not to escape and try to medicate your anger through substance abuse, alcohol, and other substances, but to really look at that, because the 12th house is the house of escapism and substance abuse and addiction. And I'm really surprised they didn't mention that, unless I just skimmed over it. And like I said, if you have like Libra or maybe Virgo, there's certain signs, Cancer, Mars in these signs, you may be using sarcasm or other, maybe pouting, giving somebody the cold treatment because you can't bring yourself to just say to that person, I was really angry when you did this or you said that. And it really is that simple. And if somebody gets angry that you're angry, oh well, because you're going to still be pissed off at them, let's face it. So it's about, constructive ways to deal with this kind of thing. Now, what connects this issue is having a lack of boundaries. Mars is our ability to assert ourselves. Mars in the 12th house is like having Mars in Pisces. Neptune is a ruler of Pisces, the ruler of the 12th house, and it can lead to a person who is a bit of a weenie, a bit of a pushover, and the positive side is the person can be very caring and almost, there's a sacrificial quality with the 12th house. This is a personal planet, so it can really be a part of that person's nature, and they may give in too easily, even when it hurts them or inconveniences themselves. And this is not going to make that other person's life better. If you have if this is a spouse, a child, even an adult child, if you're giving in to them when you shouldn't do so, when it puts you out in some way, all that does is create within you it just complicates your life, and you deserve happiness. So you have to really learn how to say no without feeling guilt. And I think there's a lot of guilt associated with the 12th house because it's the house of karma. And sometimes we do bring certain maybe past life memories into this lifetime. Our relationships can be karmic, and we don't know why, but we have a feeling of obligation to someone, maybe a soul contract. And so we assume, or maybe it's not really assuming because it's not on the conscious level. The 12th house is the unconscious mind, or you could even say, I saw on this site the subconscious mind, but I would associate that more with the 8th house. Whatever, pretty similar. The point is that we're not sure why we feel a certain way or why we want to do certain things, but we do. We feel compelled. So you may feel compelled to do certain things, including giving in to people, even when it's inconveniencing you, and thinking that you're helping that person. Are you helping somebody who has an addiction by giving them money, even though you love them? And why do you feel irrationally guilty when you're not giving in to someone? Some of this has, sometimes this can be that you're looking for love and acceptance. I mean, I'm not going to get into all those things, but just learning how to say no without guilt and without anger, without feeling angry that somebody even dared to ask you that thing and now they're making you say no. But just saying, no, I'm sorry. This can make you very, I'm using the word passive. That's not what I saw, but I'm paraphrasing this. But I feel like this can be a passive position where you're kind of like not going after what you want. Maybe you're hoping that's going to come to you. And it can make you unfocused, meaning that you don't really know what your goals are. Very important, because it's very hard to go after something when you don't have a clear picture of what it is that you want. So this can be a situation where the person is confused about what they should be doing. And this could be with career matters. This can be with just about anything, really. Whether they want to, get married or move in with somebody, have children. And this can leave you kind of wishy-washy. If you look at the symbol of Mars, it looks to me like an arrow and maybe even a bullseye with that circle. And maybe that's exactly what it's supposed to be. I don't know. But the point is that I think about Abraham Hicks and how they talk about rockets of desire, that when we want something, we shoot off these rockets of desire. And basically, we're starting the process of attracting certain things to us. And while I agree with that, I also know that we have to put in some legwork. We can't just want something and wish upon a star and then just sit back and wait. Somebody with this placement might think that we're just going to wait. They're going to look at their astrology, see what the transits are, look at a tarot reading, and especially if you have the sun in Pisces, if you have if you have like this, if you have this, maybe if you have the sun in the 12th house, and you just think that life is predetermined, then you're going to probably not be willing to take action, at least not consistently. So just see if that resonates with you. Now, they mentioned something that I had never heard before for this placement. They said being insecure about your body, and they said even perhaps being clumsy. The only thing I can think of, I don't know about being clumsy, but maybe insecurity about one's body is because Mars rules Aries, and it rules the first house of the self, and the body is included with that. And Pisces is insecure. That's maybe the clumsiness is the Neptunian Mars connection, where you're acting or you're moving. Mars can be movement, but it's kind of nebulous or confused. So you don't have like this sense of a clear purpose in why you're moving. You're just kind of doing it willy-nilly. I don't know. But that was kind of interesting. And another thing they said, if you have planets in the 12th house, this makes you very sensitive and you need alone time, okay? And that is certainly true. Mars is no exception. I would say, too, that this can even, to me, I was reading when I started doing this series last week or whatever, whenever it was, I read something where they said Mars is where we put the most energy into in our life. And if this is true for you, that would be in the 12th house. And that can even relate to maybe what you're doing for a living. So if you are involved in spiritual pursuits, one of the things I can think of that would benefit you both personally and professionally would be a hatha yoga teacher, because it's physical movement, which takes care of the Mars, and it's a spiritual practice, which takes care of the 12th house. Maybe even traveling, spending time in retreat centers on a regular basis to get that alone time, but also to, contemplate ways to better yourself in terms of how you can go after what you want without feeling guilty about it, and also expressing your anger without feeling guilty about it, and still get that inspirational time of reflection by going someplace where you have a lot of peace and quiet and solitude. Okay, that's what I have for you. I hope that this resonated. If you would like a private reading, the link is below. I have deep dive readings where I do just extended natal chart interpretations, an hour reading of that, an hour of transits with your natal charts, and at a special price. I have other types of readings. My website is rainamoonastrology.com. The link is below. Thanks for listening. Take care.